Captain Dan here, Goober Time Guide Service. I fish on the mighty James River and I help people catch big giant catfish. And if there's one thing you know about the James River, it's got some fast current rolling through. And in scenarios like those where I really like to use the three-way rig. Now there's a particular way I like to tie it up, and it's not that it's that special of a rig, but it's a way that really works for me. And if you're gonna target fish in fast moving waters, this is definitely a rig you want in your arsenal. So let's head on over to the workbench and see what this rig's all about. Now here's all the hardware you're gonna need to tie up a three-way rig the way I like to tie it up. There's plenty of ways to do it. This is the way I prefer, so write down in the comments if you have a different way that you like to tie it up. I start with a 100-pound slime line, clear leader line. This stuff is heavy duty and it's never let me down. You might have a different preference, but that's what I put my faith in. For a hook, I'm gonna use the Predator 10-aught hook from a company called Mid-Atlantic Catfish Company. And if you're interested in any of these materials, I do have everything linked in the description, so check that out if you wanna build these rigs for yourself. This is a really heavy duty, heavy gauge wire here. So that's gonna hold a heck of a bait, and once that bites into a fish, it is not gonna let go. This is an offset circle hook, meaning that the point is not in line with the shank. It's offset to the side, and it's also a straight shank right there. So this is a non-octopus style hook right here. You can use your preference of hook right here. It doesn't really matter, just match it to the size bait and the size fish that you're targeting. On my guide trips, we target giant catfish, so I want a nice heavy duty hook. As far as hardware goes, I'm gonna use a three-way swivel right here. This is the double barrel style, where it's got one eyelet going through this post of another. That's gonna be the main part of our rig. And optionally, we're gonna use a barrel swivel with a snap swivel on it. I'll show you what that's for in a little bit. Now you could use the same leader line for the entire rig, but I like to downsize for my weight, just in case the weight gets hung up, I can break that off and keep the rest of my rig. So for that purpose, I'm gonna use 40-pound slime line in yellow. So if you see that in the video, that's what's happening there. Now, if you're a person that likes to tie your rigs by hand and you don't trust crimping, which I think is the way to go, we're gonna crimp in this video. I've got a crimping tool, some size H crimps, and I'm gonna have to get some smaller ones for the 40-pound line. These H size are perfect for 100-pound mono, but if you're not quite ready to trust a crimp yet, like I was for a long time, I was a little resistant to it, we do have videos how to tie an improved clinch knot, a Palomar knot, and a no-knot snell. We're actually gonna run through that right now to tie off our hook to our leader line. Now, I'm not saying you have to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below, but my sources tell me that if you don't, the next time you're on the water, your gas gauge is gonna read full when really the tank's empty and you're gonna get stranded without any gas. So it's way too easy to just take care of those three things and not risk it. It really helps the channel out and we appreciate your support. Okay, let's start with the hook. We're gonna take some leader line. This is the 100-pound slime line. I'm gonna pull off somewhere around 30 inches of that. And I do have a measuring tape along the front edge of my workbench so I can get those measurements correct. We're gonna snip that off using our nail clippers right here. It's time to snell our hook. I'm gonna call this the front of the hook by the point. So I'm gonna go in the front and lay my tag in down the back of the shank. I'm gonna make it just about as long until my hook starts to curl under. Then we're gonna hold that and we're gonna do a no knot snell. So we're gonna wrap this about 6 times. 3, 4, 5, 6. Finishing on the back side of the hook. You can see that leaves a nice stacked wrap of line right there. From the back side of the hook, go through the eyelet right there. You should finish with your line coming through the front side of the hook. Pull that tight. I know there's no traditional knot in this right here, this no knot snell, but it has never failed me before. It's been an excellent knot for me. It's very easy to tie. Now you may want to tie some rigs up with varying lengths of leader right here. The length of this leader line is kind of determine the action of your bait as it sways through the water. So if you have a short one, it's going to be a little more rigid and not wave as much in some current. But if you have a nice long leader line, it's really gonna wave around and potentially have a nice natural presentation out in the water. Now, believe it or not, that no knot snell took up about 5 inches of my leader line, so we're down to about 25 inches of tag end left. Now we wanna move over to our three-way swivel. For this style of swivel, you wanna take the one that only has one eyelet open. So that's the one that's connected in here. And that's where we're gonna tie or crimp our leader line off to. Speaking of crimp, I'm gonna take one of my sleeves right here and run it one time through with my leader line. I'm gonna find that swivel that's kind of free floating in there, go through the eyelet of it, and then back through my sleeve right there. That's gonna leave me with a little bit of tag end and a little loop right there that's gonna lock my swivel in. Let's go ahead and crimp that down. I'm gonna do 2 crimps here, one at the top and one at the bottom. So we're about halfway done with the rig. Next, we want to take our 40-pound slime line here. This is what our weight's going to attach to. And This is going to determine how high off the bottom your weight's going to sit. So I usually like to go about 20 to 25 inches with these. Let's measure something out. Okay, so we've got 25 inches right there. I'm going to chop that and set my line aside. Now the important thing to remember is that for a smaller diameter monofilament, you're going to need a smaller crimp. So I've got both of these linked in the description down below. So next we're going to take our mono and run it through our smaller sleeve just once to start. We're going to take that remaining piece above the sleeve and go through our three-way swivel once, fold it over and come right back through. You want to leave a little loop in there, then come back and crimp it. Remember, this yellow mono is going to work for our weight here. And you could tie a loop in there so you could fast change your weights out, or you could tie directly to your weight with some kind of knot that you prefer, like a Palomar knot or an improved clinch knot. I'm going to use this fast clip right here so I can change my weights out really fast. It's a little bit more hardware, but the convenience is nice. So another sleeve, go through it once. Go through the eyelet on your barrel swivel and come back through the sleeve again. And then crimp it down. The nice thing about these crimps is you can be really precise and figure out exactly how long the different parts of your leader line are. As we saw with that no-knot snell, it took up about 5 inches of my leader line, so it really changes the length. These crimps right here, it doesn't take up but an inch, so you can really dial in the length of your rigs right there. Now that's our completed rig right there. You can attach your weight down low, come up to the three-way swivel, tie that off to your main line. The third leg of the swivel comes down to your hook. Once you've got that tied off to your main line and got a weight attached with some bait on it, you're ready to go catch a monster. There's not a whole lot of hardware in here. This is a pretty simple rig and it's really effective in fast current. Now, if you're not quite ready to trust the crimp, I highly recommend checking out our rigging videos about tying knots, which are linked down in the description below. And either way, this video is over, so make sure you go check out our one on the no-knot snell. Thanks for watching.